Welcome to Present Poetry. I'm your host, Erin Crittenden, and all poems within this podcast are either public domain or used with permission from the author or the author's estate. It's a fun time for poetry lovers of all ages, so sit back, relax, and get ready to hear some poems of the past and the present. This week's featured poet is James Joyce. James Augustine Joyce was born in Dublin on February 2nd, 1882, and was the oldest of 10 surviving children of John Joyce and Mary Jane Murray. In 1888, James went to the Clongowes Wood College, a Jesuit boarding school, but left in 1891 when his father could no longer pay the fees. Later that year, at 9 years old, James wrote his first poem, titled Et tu, Healy, and it was in response to his father's sense of anger and betrayal after the death of Charles Stewart Parnell, and James would express those feelings throughout his life and art. In 1898, he enrolled at a university college to study English, French, and Italian. While there, he became acquainted with the scholasticism of Thomas Aquinas, which had a strong influence on the rest of his life. His first publication, aside from the poem in 1891, was a review of Henrik Ibsen's When We Dead Awaken. It appeared in the Fortnightly Review in 1900 and became the gateway to James's other published works. He graduated from the Royal University of Ireland in 1902 and made plans to study medicine in Paris after being refused an internship with the Catholic University Medical School in Dublin. However, he decided to quit in January of 1903 and remained in Paris until April of that year. In 1904, he met Nora Barnacle, a woman who would become his longest relationship, eventual wife, and inspire one of his most popular works. They went into a self-imposed exile and left Dublin in 1904, traveling around the world until settling in Trieste, Italy. There, Nora gave birth to their first child, Giorgio, and James began teaching English at the Berlitz School. He wrote and published a collection of poetry in 1907, and caught the attention of Ezra Pound, who championed James's work. He published another collection of poetry in 1912, but didn't find true fame until 1914 with the release of Dubliners. A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man came out in 1916, and then Ulysses in 1922. Finnegans Wake, the Stream of Consciousness novel, came out in 1939 and was his last work published while he was alive. James Joyce passed on January 13, 1941 in Zurich, days away from his 59th birthday. However, his work still holds sway over modern authors and artists, and James's fascination with the details of everyday life opened new possibilities for expression, which are used across the art and literary world to this day. We are reading from Chamber Music, his first collection of poetry published in 1907. Poem 1. Strings in the earth and air make music sweet, strings by the river where the willows meet. There's music along the river, for love wanders there, pale flowers on his mantle, dark leaves on his hair, all softly playing, with head to the music bent, and fingers straying upon an instrument. Poem 5. Lean out of the window, golden hair, I hear you singing a merry air. My book was closed, I read no more, watching the fire dance on the floor. I have left my book, I have left my room, for I heard you singing through the gloom. Singing and singing a merry air, lean out of the window, golden hair. Poem 20. In the dark pine wood I would we lay, in deep cool shadow at noon of day. How sweet to lie there, sweet to kiss, where the great pine forest enisled is. thy kiss descending, sweeter were, with a soft tumult of thy hair. Oh, unto the pine wood at noon of day, come with me now, sweet love, away. Poem 24. Silently she's combing her long hair, silently and graciously, with many a pretty air. The sun is in the willow leaves and on the dappled grass, and still she's combing her long hair before the looking glass. I pray you cease to comb out your long hair, for I have heard of witchery under a pretty air, that makes as one thing to the lover, staying and going hence, all fair with many a pretty air and many a negligence. Poem 34. Sleep now, O you unquiet heart, a voice crying sleep now is heard in my heart. The voice of the winter is heard at the door. O sleep, for the winter is crying sleep no more. My kiss will give peace now and quiet to your heart. Sleep on in peace now, O you unquiet heart. Thank you for listening to this episode of Present Poetry. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review, share us on social media, or subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you would like to learn more about the featured poet, or you would like your work featured on the podcast, please check out the links in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.